Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. I forgot to put my camera up. Helps if you put the camera up, doesn't it? So when I went to go live, it was just black. So you probably better if you can't see me, to be honest. The way I'm at the moment, like a limp lettuce in this heat. So hello, hi, it's me, a very hot and sticky Vicky Marie. Because it's so hot and humid. Here in Spain, it's only 29 degrees, but the humidity apparently is about 93%. Oh, so you are just like a limp lettuce, wilting. I'm just a flower wilting in the heat. Anyway, so thank you for watching. I will try and organise my camera a bit better. Hang on. Sometimes when I start messing with the camera, the whole thing sort of doesn't work because I pull something out or pull a wire out. I think that's okay, isn't it? You can see me okay. So here we are. Don't know where you are in this crazy world we live in, but I'm here in Spain, as I say, very, very hot and sticky. We've got a way to go yet because it's only the 8th of August, so we've got the rest of August to get through yet. Just about bearable first thing in the morning. And then the next time that it's bearable really is in the night. So I was sat up really late last night watching rubbish on the telly because it was comfortable. So, of course, then I end up going to bed late and then I get up late and my whole routine is all over the place. But anyway, normally I like to go to bed early and get up early. But at the moment, you have to have a nap in the afternoon. And then it's difficult to get to sleep. Sort of when you want to get to sleep, it's too hot. So I'm having a little whinge about the weather as usual. But anyway, I'm here. I'm okay. I'm good. How are you? I hope you're all well. I'm going to talk about quite a few things today in this video, like a bit of a catch-up of crime stories that I haven't been able to talk about, or, there's not enough really for a whole video, etc. So we're going to talk. First thing we're going to talk about is this Covent Garden attacker. So this woman, Stella, can't remember her second name, Golovina was it, or something like that. Yes, Stella Golovina, 47. Remember, we were surprised because, with all due respect, she looks a lot older than 47, Now, she's supposed to be of no fixed abode, so maybe it's because it's not. There you go. You can see her quite well there. She's very, just reinforces my opinion that as you get older, you need to be carrying a little bit of weight because, you start to look, it's not good if you're too slim as you get older. She looks sort of gaunt, doesn't she? Bless her. So she's supposed to have been homeless. So that might explain why, she looks like she's had such a difficult paper round. But anyway, I've had quite a few messages left and a couple of emails saying, it's not a woman, that Stella was born a man and in fact is trans. Well, so I've been trying to find out for certain, is that true? Anyway, it's not true, or it's not been confirmed by anyone. Hi, Lily. Good morning. So according to AI, and AI is the new Wikipedia now when we're looking things up, there is no official or factual evidence indicating that the suspect in the Covent Garden attack is transgender. Now, as we know, this might change. It might be tomorrow it comes up and says, oh, by the way, Stella is transgender. We just don't know, do we? Because, we only can go on the information that we're given, can't we? And sometimes we're not given the full information. But I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to tell people. So people that had, said to me, oh, Stella is transgender. Well, there's no official confirmation of it yet. So it says Stella Golovena, a 47-year-old woman, was arrested and charged following the incident. She faces 4 counts of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm and 1 count of possessing an offensive weapon. And it says official reports and court hearings describe the suspect as a woman, and police treat the event as an isolated incident linked to mental health concerns rather than a targeted or ideological act. Unfounded rumours on social media speculating otherwise have lacked any factual basis. So, on this channel, sorry, I was holding that wrong. We try and stick to facts. So I'm addressing the issue because a couple of people, as I say, a couple of comments, a couple of emails, not loads and loads, but a couple have said to me, oh, this is a man or a biological man, transsexual woman, whatever you want to say. Anyway, no factual evidence for that. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, that could all change tomorrow. You know what? We know how we're drip-fed information, and I'll be the first to acknowledge it could all be different tomorrow. It could be announced that Stella is, in fact, a biological man. But as far as currently is concerned, no. So let's have that clear. Because, these rumours, they are hurtful to trans people. Trans people get enough stick, if you like, any time that an offence is committed by a trans person. It's all the trans of this, that and the other. So we don't want false rumours circulate, do we? As I say, could all change tomorrow. But as far as today is concerned, there is no evidence to suggest that Stella has transitioned. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Got that out of the way. The second thing I wanted to talk about is, where I was yesterday. I went off on location yesterday. I did release a video to my members last night to tell them a little bit about it, and I've now made it public this morning. It was a very interesting morning. Oh God, not afternoon. By 1 o'clock I was back at home because so hot. That's the problem. You can't go on location in Spain this time of year. Just can't. I mean, so it was an opportunity that came up for me to go and meet up with some British journalists who are over here in Spain talking about, so they're from the Liverpool Echo, so they're interested in any crimes here on the Costas, not only the Costa Blanca, but the Costas generally. They, having a little trip around Spain. I did say some August probably wasn't a good time to come. Because it's difficult to film, because they're filming a mini documentary as well. It's difficult to film, because it's so hot and the sun is so glaring. You need an umbrella, really. You need to stand under an umbrella or find some shade somewhere. But it's virtually impossible to find shade. It's odd, when the sun's high in the sky. There just is no shade. Anyway, they were particularly interested in the case of this guy. This guy is from Bootle. I think he's 32, 33, Sonny Redmond. And he was on the most wanted list. Anyway, he's been apprehended now. But the other interesting thing about Sonny, I mean, he's got the look of the devil, or the look of the Irish, or whatever you. I mean, I'm not saying he's Irish or a devil. I'm just saying whatever the expression is, because Sonny was shot, and not only once, but over 12 bullets, a spray of bullets. He was trapped, probably lured to an underground car park. And he was sat in his car, and his car was peppered with bullets, over 12, over a dozen bullets. And by some miracle, I'm going to show you this guy survived. Now, this is we went to it's an underground car park. He must have been lured there, I think. And I do have photos on the other video. There's a photo that was off the media that was, of the bullet holes in his windscreen. How he survived, it literally is a miracle almost. But he did. But anyway, he's wanted in Spain for robberies of cannabis cafes. So anyway, there's a lot of crime. I'm going to do more about the crime on the Costas here. There's so much crime that people just don't know about. People come out on holiday, or they've got holiday homes here, or they're retired. I don't live on the coast, but I'm not that far away from it. And we know from the John George murder, one of those suspects was shot just along the coast there at Punta Prima. Just the other day in Torrevieja, which is just up the road, there was a man arrested who had a gun with a magazine full of ammunition. This is a holiday area, and people generally are coming out here having a great time on their holidays with their families and their kids. And I said in my other video, the purpose, I am not a detective. I'm not here to catch criminals. That's not what I do. That's the police's job. A police's job is to catch criminals. My job, if you like, I feel, is just to inform people of what's going on. Purely that and nothing more. So that people are aware that just because they're on holiday, and just because the sun is shining and they're on the beach and having a great time, does not mean that bad things can't happen. So you've still got to be aware of your safety, of the safety of your family. You've just got to be aware of it, just like you would at home, wherever you live. Doesn't matter if you live in an upscale area, does it? What happened to Ann Widdicombe in her lovely area where she lived. Doesn't matter if you live in an inner city ghetto. Sometimes I think you're probably safer there. But it doesn't matter where you live, does it? You always have to be aware of what's going on around you, your personal safety. There are things, and your family and your loved ones' safety. There are things you should not do, chances you should not take. It's sad, but it's just, it's reality. And my mission, if you like, in talking about the crimes around the Costas and things, is to say, just because people go and live abroad, I think sometimes people think you don't have any problems because you live in the sun. They think you just spend all your days sat on the beach with a cocktail, or, it's exactly the same as anywhere you might live. You've got all the same problems. It might be a nicer environment. The sun's shining. Yeah, it feels better maybe, but you still got the same problems. You still got financial problems. You still got mental health problems. You still got relationship problems. You still can get ill. They're all those similar problems, or the same problems that anyone has wherever they live. Just because you're in the sun doesn't mean, say, nothing bad can happen, sadly. So that's my mission, if you like, when I'm talking about these cases. As I say, I'm not here to catch criminals. That's the police's job. I'm not here to convict them. That's the court's job. And then the prisons, it's their job to, look after them for whatever sentence they receive. Nothing to do with me for the actual, crimes they commit or whatever, just to report on it, just so that people are aware. And that's what, so I just wanted to say about that. So anyway, these people that I met from the Liverpool Echo, they're doing a mini documentary. So I'm going to be in this mini documentary. They did interview me just about. So that they've had a lot of resistance, because the other thing that happens in holiday areas, if we go to the film Jaws, where the mayor didn't want to close the beaches because it was holiday season. That literally is what happens. In holiday areas, they don't want to talk about crime and things, because they want people to come. You've got the estate agents, they want people to come and buy houses in the area, holiday homes. You've got the bars and restaurants. It's in their interest. They don't want people not to come. They want people to come and spend their money. So what these people have found is a real resistance for people to talk about it. They even went to the town hall, tried to talk to councillors. Only one councillor would speak to them, and that was the far right councillor, the Vox guy, which, he probably loves sort of putting foreigners down, because they're like the Reform Party of Spain. They want all the foreigners out, like including the Brits, and that. So it's not only, anyway, that's a political debate for another video. But so Owen, they tried to post on Facebook, like asking if anyone wanted to talk to them. They were doing this documentary. That's how I found them, and we met up. But within an hour, their post was removed, because these Facebook groups as well, they don't want people to think. They don't want anything to put people off coming to the Costas for holidays. So they're trying not to talk about the bad things, which, to me is ridiculous, because people come over on holiday, they should know how to be safe. It's not only about, this is like organised crime, I suppose, but it's not only about that. You're not safe. You can easily have your bag snatched, your house broken into, especially in holiday season, it's rife, because the gangs, the robbery gangs, if you like, they know that people are on holiday. They've normally got quite a bit of money. They've maybe they'll have a nice phone or a camera or something like that. So to me, it's like, I don't want to terrify people and think, oh God, I'm not going there. But they have to be aware as well. Things do happen. I mean, I've done interpreting for people at the police station when they've been robbed and that. I've been thousands of times, and quite often the robberies happen because people don't take the same precautions that they would at home. But having said that, who I never thought I would get caught out, because I'd been to the police station so often with people. I had my bag snatched by what they do is, I sort of came around the corner and I'm just about to put my key in the door of the car, and this car swings around the corner and grabs my bag off my shoulder. These are the things that they do, and they caught me out, and many years ago. But I couldn't believe it, because I never thought I would get caught out, because I'd been so many times to the police station with other people that had happened to. So anyone can get caught out. These are, the people, the robbers, they are organised gangs. What they do quite often is they'll break into someone's house, steal their car keys and whatever's available around. Off they'll go with the car, take the car for one night, and they use it to do other robberies. That car that these people swung round the corner and grabbed my bag. That was probably a stolen car. Won't have been their car. You know, so they're organised and they do these things. You know, they're not amateurs. So yeah, as I say, my mission is not to frighten people to death. You know, I say I'm not a detective. I'm not the police. I'm not here to, you know, collar criminals or whatever. That's not my, you know, I'm just here to talk about it, to chat about it and to warn people. So we're going to look out for that. So that documentary, God knows what I'm going to look like on it, because, you know, I think I started off the day, literally left the house looking great, like my hair was perfect. And then you go out into this humidity. And I'm like, you know, don't know if you ever saw the Friends episode with Monica when she went, did they go to the Bahamas or Bermuda or somewhere? And she was playing table tennis and her hair just kept frizzing up. That's what happens to me. In the end, my hair just looks like cotton wool. You know, it's like... So, yeah, I've probably started off looking sort of half decent. But God knows by the end of the... so I don't know, because they're just filming it. And they took quite a bit of film. But, of course, you never know how much is going to end up in the documentary. And what you're going to look like, because it was just, you know, this tiny camera that he was filming with. They were very, you know, everything was very sort of high tech. And, you know, I don't know, I couldn't see it. I didn't get to see it played back or anything like that. So I'll probably look a complete twonk. But anyway, it was interesting, you know, it was interesting. But they're only specifically concerned with cases connected to Liverpool, because it's the Liverpool Echo. So, you know, they're not other cases that haven't got a connection to Liverpool. They're not so concerned with this particular case of Sonny escaping death in that car park. I mean, God, imagine being shot with a hail of bullets and surviving, you know. And of course, he's not going to tell. I don't know who actually tried to kill him. He's not going to say anything, because the worst thing you can be is a grass, isn't it? So, but anyway, he's in prison at the moment, or being detained in the UK, and he's awaiting extradition to Spain to face these charges of breaking into a cannabis cafe. Also, he had a lot of weapons. This is something that's definitely just really terrifying. A lot of these crimes involve weapons now. They never used to, but you know, normally like the house robberies and things like that, they don't involve weapons. And they, you know, if you disturb them, they're normally gone like a shot. They don't want to be caught. They don't normally become violent. But there's been a lot of, I think what's quite disturbing over the past couple of years is a lot more violent crime, like really, you know, involving firearms, etc. So it's quite scary. But so you've got to be, as I say, just got to be aware. Don't let it put you off going to Spain, but you've always got to be aware. It's everywhere. It's not only Spain, is it? Any holiday place, any holiday destination has got its problems, hasn't it? Because I think also in holiday places, people can stay under the radar. You know, the people come and go. It's transient, you know, so people don't stand out, you know, and certainly expats wouldn't stand out at all, because that particular area where we were, Oruella Costa, you wouldn't even know you were in Spain except for the sun shining. You know, they're British pubs, everyone speaks English, you know, they're like ghettos, really, expat ghettos. But of course, we never call them that. That's what we would call it if it was in the UK. And it was a load of, I don't know, Indian people living in one area. But, you know, people don't seem to think that that's exactly what happens in Spain. You get huge, and it's a huge area. They were telling me that this councillor had told them that 8,000 British people were registered in the area. Oh my God, there's much more than that. But people don't register. So this is a problem here, or in that area, not here because I don't live there. But people don't register on the census, the Padron it's called. And because and it's got worse since Brexit because it's all more complicated now to register. So when it comes to the town hall asking for resources from the government for police, etc., the government look at the register and say, oh, well, you've only got 8,000 that's just British people registered, you know. But the truth might be that there's triple that, just British people, never mind other nationalities. But the government will only go by what's actually written down, established, you know, that can be proven. So that's the way it is. So, you know, there's a lot of complaints. There's not enough police in the area. And it's funny because I would have agreed with that. It just seems like recently all I've done is seen police over that way. But yeah, it's maybe one day I'll do a video just about that because there's so much to say in it. Anyway, we got talking to one guy, and it was interesting what he said as well. Is, you know, people don't want to talk about it because quite often they're a little bit scared. You know, people don't want to talk about criminals for fear that, you know, retribution or, you know, which is fair enough, isn't it? You know, these people, they are unscrupulous and they are violent. So, you know, certainly people don't want to talk about, I mean, it's one thing talking about things in general. And this is what I'm saying about me. I'm not a detective. I'm not here to catch those people. That's the police, for the police to do that. But, you know, some people, they just don't even want to talk about it because they just don't want any problems. You know, people generally in life, they just want to plod on in their life, don't they? They don't actually, you know, they don't want any problems. They just want to carry on with their own lives. So anyway, so that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Now, the third thing I wanted to talk about is these human remains that have been found in Manchester. Now, this is very interesting, or, you know, for a case that we have covered. So in Manchester, in the UK, human remains have been found beside the motorway, the M67 motorway in Manchester, UK. And this is the details we know so far. Now, the thing is, somebody is going to get bad news, obviously. So once they identify this person, it's sort of like your worst news and your best news in a way, because there may be somebody who's been missing for a long time and their family want to know what's happened to them. But of course, they didn't want this to happen to them. They'll have always, when someone's missing, there's always the hope, you know, that they might be alive somewhere, but somebody is going to get the confirmation that their loved one is dead. And it'll be sort of it'll be horrible, but it'll also be an answer to what they've been wondering for however long this person has been missing. It's horrible, isn't it? So there'll be people out there, because this person could be from anywhere in the UK. Just because they've been found by motorway Manchester doesn't mean to say that's where they're from. So there'll be anyone probably who's got a missing loved one who fits the description, which I'm going to give you in a minute, of what the police have revealed so far about these remains. They'll be thinking, could it be my loved one? And there'd be this sort of part of you, surely, that would want the answers. But then, of course, you don't want this. Even if your loved one had been missing for 10 years and you had no idea what had happened to them, this is the worst case scenario, isn't it? So there's been a major update in the M67 human remains investigation as police reveal key details of the deceased person. So they're of a man. So what we know is it's a man, and they're aged 20 to 28 years old. 20 to 28 years old, male. Now, straight away, I thought, and I know other people have it as well, and I'm sure even his poor mum has, of Jack O'Sullivan. You know, Jack O'Sullivan went missing from Bristol, didn't he? A couple of years ago now. But he fit that description. Could it be him? Was he taken away in a car? I think his mum has always believed he was taken away in a car, and not that he fell into the river as the police seem to believe. And we've done quite a few. I've done a few videos about Jack O'Sullivan. Is it possible that it's him? I expect his mum and his dad and brother, they'll all be a bit bated breath about this, because, you know, it's a possibility, isn't it? But he won't. He's not the only one, though, of course. There'll be lots of young men between the ages of 20 and 28 years old that are missing all over the UK. So, in a major update in the investigation, Greater Manchester Police said he is thought to have been between 5'5" to 5'9" and of medium build. His ethnicity is not yet known, so we haven't got an ethnicity. We also don't know how long these remains are thought to have been there, because obviously that narrows things down. Let's just have a look at Jack O'Sullivan's let's have a look at the website of Jack. So yeah, Jack was 23, so he fits in the age group. Now, don't forget, there's a reward for Jack. Information leading to what happened to Jack of £100,000, which is, you know, it's quite scary, isn't it? That even with that massive reward, and it is a massive reward, that Jack still, you know, has not been found. You know, and I just always think, I'm going to find a picture of him. I just always think that when a massive reward is put up like that and still no one comes forward, you know, you just think, well, certainly in the early days, you think they're never going to get found. You know, sometimes years later, people will talk because allegiances change, don't they? Oh, so let's see if you can see that. This is Jack, you know, a promising future in front of him. He studied law, he'd been to a party, he'd had a bit to drink, he decided to walk home. He told his mum he would get a taxi, and he just never arrived home, did he? And he was seen walking around. There's a lot of water. There is a lot of water around where he was seen walking. But his mum is insistent. She doesn't think he ends up in the water. The police seem to think he ended up in the water because that's what tends to happen to young men who've had a bit to drink. You know, they do quite often end up in water or whatever, you know, by accident. But Jack's never been found in all this time, and there have been a lot of searches. Now, so he was 22 at the time of his disappearance, and it says here his height, 5'10". So what did it say? Let me just, is that within the height range? It says 5'5" to 5'9". So maybe Jack's a bit too tall to be that person. which, I don't know how his mum will look on, what, how would you feel? You sort of be relieved it wasn't him in one way, but there's another part of you surely that you just want answers. Well, so the thing is somebody's going to get answers. So that young man, and it is a young man because they said that he's in his 20s. That young man is somebody's loved one. So somebody's going to get the news they've dreaded. And then you wonder, like, if they're right by the motorway there, it's not likely to be a self-deletion, is it? So it was made close. The grim discovery was made close to the motorway, near a bridge, eastbound between junctions 3 at Hyde and 4 at Hattersley in Tameside, by road workers on Monday, August the 3rd. Has somebody just been thrown out there? Because the thing is, until road workers go there, or unless somebody just broke down at that precise spot, whoever goes at the side of a motorway, a body could lay undiscovered there for a long time, couldn't it? And it's normally discovered by workers or something like that, isn't it? So anyway, I will keep you updated. Any more news about that, I will let you know. And my prayers just go out to whoever the family are, because when they do find out that's their loved one, it's going to be difficult. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? But at least they're going to get some answers. It could be someone who's been missing for quite a long time, couldn't it? Aye. Okay, let me look, as I've got a little list here because there were things that I wanted to catch up on. Okay, done that. Okay, so there's 2 more things I just want to update you on. One is this horrible case in Greece, of course, of Elizabeth, the Scottish Christian volunteer that was found deceased by a homeless man in a suitcase. And of course, her accused killer, he's been charged, hasn't he? Turns out he is an Afghan refugee. He's only in his 20s, married to an American woman. They opened a Christian charity together, a homeless charity in Athens, in Greece. Elizabeth had gone to volunteer there. She was staying in one of their apartments that they owned. And this man had a key. Sharif is called. He had a key to the apartment. His version of events is he went round there and she was just dead there on the floor. He didn't touch her, honest. He doesn't know how it happened, but he got how he got in the apartment then. So he just let himself in the apartment because he did have a key. But so basically, when you think about it, what he's admitting there is he just let himself in the apartment, because if she was dead on the floor, she couldn't let him in, could she? Anyway, this is what he's claiming. He went round to the apartment. She was already dead. So, for reasons best known to himself, instead of phoning the police or phoning an ambulance, see if she could be, saved, he put her in a suitcase, stole her bank cards, and wheeled her off to an old abandoned building where he left her there. And luckily, a homeless man found the case. Poor guy, he probably got a big shock, and reported it to the police that there was a body there. So it didn't take long for the police to track down Sharif. Let's have a look at some photos from this case. Poor Elizabeth, she was from Scotland in the UK. you know, as I say, she'd gone there as a Christian volunteer, for God's sake. I mean, come on. You know, you don't feel safe volunteering for a church. But just shows you you're not, you know, this guy, I've described him as a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's exactly what he is. Right, let me just find a picture of Elizabeth. Yeah, I think it's what, you know, 99% likely that this Sharif guy made a pass at her, tried to, I don't know, and she refused. So the cause of death has not been released yet, though they think it was probably asphyxiation. But we'll see when the forensic reports come out. That's Elizabeth. Let's have a look at it. We need to have a look at him, I suppose. So this is Sharif, his wife, American-born wife, who married him. So he's come out with, you know, he claims he's a refugee. I don't believe anything he says, to be honest. His story to me, I don't think it's true. So he claims he's a refugee from Afghanistan. His father was killed by the Taliban. His brother was kidnapped by the Taliban. And then the rest of his family were all blown up by a suicide bomb by the Taliban. And at 16, he was an orphan, he says, and he, you know, got in a small boat and ended up in Greece. And he was sort of almost adopted by a family. They've spoken up about it. They can't believe that he's been accused of this. He ended up meeting his wife, getting married. They opened this charity together. You know, seemed to have he was a champion boxer. You know, seemed to have amateur boxer. Seemed to have everything going for him. You know, but he was very angry about the treatment he said he'd received as a refugee. He was, you know, very vocal in saying that he didn't think all Christian aid charities were genuine. A lot of them were in it for their own benefit. The irony after what he's done, you know, he stole, I think was it £10,000 out of Elizabeth's cards. You know, he used the money, he bought his wife a new iPhone, he gave her 2,500 euros or something like that. So he used Elizabeth's cards for his own benefit, and then he was moaning about other Christian aid charities not being genuine. Just he's unbelievable, this guy. Anyway, he's appeared in court twice now, and he's being kept. Now, I don't think you'll be sorry to hear this. The prison, there's been a lot of talk about the prison that is being kept in, because apparently it's notorious, this Greek prison. Let me just read to you about it. I don't, you know, I'm certainly not shedding any tears for him. Good, I'm glad he's in a horrible prison. In fact, I could find this and show you this. So he's said to be being kept. So he could spend the next 18 months, this is the Sun newspaper, according to the Sun newspaper, he could spend the next 18 months in a hellish prison with terrorists, RAPIS. He's 26 years old. He's expected to be playing Korydallos in the outskirts of Athens. So let's see if I can find a picture of it to show you. So good. I'm glad he's going to a shit prison. You know, good. I hope, I mean, he's a boxer, surely can handle himself. But he will be a target in this prison because, well, one, because of the high, what's the word, visibility of the case. It's a high profile case all over the world, but especially in Greece, I would imagine. So, high profile prisoners. So let's show you a picture of it. Well, looks like any prison. Looks grim. Prisons are grim, aren't they? They should be grim. That's the prison. They should be grim, but there's been a lot of concern from human rights, people about the prison, that it's unfit for habitation. I don't care, do you really? I mean, he's on remand at the end of the day. Maybe it's wrong to keep someone in a prison like that before they've actually been convicted. What do you think? But once he's convicted, well, there you go. Made his bed and now he's got to lie in it, isn't it? So let's see if I can find a video to show you. So let me put that back to the beginning, actually.
Did you kill Lisa Sharif? A man called Sharif Ahmadzai has been remanded in custody in Greece, charged with killing Elizabeth Ross.
He's only a titch.
Known as Lisa. Her body was found in a suitcase in an abandoned building on the 18th of July. Ahmadzai was charged with homicide with intent, equivalent to murder in the UK. He was also charged with robbery and weapons offences. He's also accused of sending a series of messages from Lisa's phone to her family and friends before turning it off. Greek police say Ahmadzai and his wife knew Lisa after they volunteered at a refugee charity here in Athens earlier this year. Court documents claim his wife told the police she suspected her husband's involvement in the killing when she woke up in their apartment and he wasn't there. She tracked his phone to where Lisa had been staying. She later asked him why. He said he went to use the toilet after watching football at a cafe. She told investigators that when she heard a woman had been found dead close by, she was worried it was her friend Lisa inside the suitcase, especially after messages she was receiving weren't in her level of English or style. Ahmadzai, who came to Greece as a teenager from Afghanistan, didn't respond to the charges. His lawyer told the BBC he had exercised his right to silence so that he could present his defence in full when the case file is completed. He'll now remain in custody until his trial, which could be up to 18 months away.
So she was suspicious because, what he was saying though, she was suspicious because he wasn't in. And she asked why, when he finally admitted that he'd gone round to Elizabeth's apartment, which was their apartment. He had a key to that apartment because he had, it belonged to the charity. And so he said he wanted to, he'd been watching the football in a bar and he wanted to go to the toilet. That's the excuse he's going to come up with. So why didn't he go to the toilet in the bar? I know exactly what would have happened. He probably was in the bar. He's probably had a few drinks. And he thought, I'm going to go and see Elizabeth because she was a very attractive woman. She looked quite like his wife, actually. He probably thought, go and see Elizabeth and see if I can get my leg over. Basically, I'm pretty sure that's what he tried to do. And she wasn't having any of it, so he killed her. That to me seems logical. But no, he said he went in there to use the toilet. So he just let himself in, did he, to use the toilet? And she was dead on the bathroom floor. Honestly, what a thicko. So yeah, looks quite short, doesn't he? But of course he's fit because he's a boxer. Now, I don't know if that'll be good for him in prison or bad. Will people because he's a boxer. You know what, prisoners, they've got nothing left but their egos by the time they're in prison. So, you know, there's normally like a competition of the pecking order, isn't there? Will he be a target because he's a champion boxer? Well, let's come and see if he can fight me. You know, that there might be a bit of that. He's also fit, like body wise and that. So will he be a target for RAPE himself in prison? Yeah, he's not going to have a good time of it. Shame, isn't it? Shame, such a shame. So yeah, this is a maximum security prison on the outskirts of Athens. That's where he's expected to be held, but it's notorious apparently. Let's see. It's known to inmates as Colditz after the prisoner of war camp, and it is one of the worst jails in Europe. It's overcrowded, rat infested, and has often been singled out by human rights groups. As many as 8 men can be detained in prison cells that are dark and dank. Horror, overcrowding, prisoner violence, severe understaffing, inadequate healthcare. And it's been described as an affront to human dignity. Diseases such as tuberculosis, hepatitis, and scabies are said to be rampant, and patients are suffering from cancer and kidney problems. Oh dear, so it's shame, isn't it? And many are also HIV positive, which is an epidemic currently sweeping the Greek prison population. And he could be targeted because of the high-profile nature of the case. And most convicted felons in Korydallos are foreign, the vast majority imprisoned for drug trafficking. A bit like Spain, really. There have been several high-risk escape attempts. A helicopter swooped in to free the brother of Greece's most wanted robber who had escaped from behind bars. And the helicopter pilot told police that aircraft had been hijacked. Well, I bet it hadn't really. So under Greek law, the Afghan can be held in pre-trial detention for up to 18 months. And after 2 months, he can file his first appeal to be freed on pending trial, but he would have to wear an ankle bracelet, check in with police, and over his travel documents. If a hearing does not take place within 18 months, a suspect is automatically freed pending trial. So, anyway, we'll see what happens with him. As I say, we're still waiting for the official confirmation of cause of death. But, you know, there was CCTV of him pushing the suitcase along the streets of Athens. You know, he's a thicko. He's all the things his wife has been able to confirm. His wife has helped build the case against him. Yeah. He told her he'd been watching a football match, but he'd gone to Elizabeth's apartment to use the toilet. Huh. Oh dear. Anyway, I just wanted to give you an update on that. So I don't think, you know, we'll be sad about him spending his time in that horrible prison. Good. As I say, you make the bed, you have to lie in it, don't you? I mean, you know, he didn't care about Elizabeth, did he? He just dumped her in an abandoned building in a suitcase like she was a piece of rubbish, and then went off and took money off her cards. He's a definite one of those contenders for Twonk of the Year, isn't he? Okay, so I wanted to update you about that. And the last thing that I want to update you about in this crime chat is Ann Widdicombe. So we have a bit of a development. You know, it's all gone quiet in the Ann Widdicombe case. Her funeral, of course, will, if it hasn't already taken place, it will be taking place, but it's all very secretive. Family want a private funeral, which is fair enough. So for anyone who doesn't know, Ann Widdicombe, ex-MP, TV celebrity, I think you could describe her as, but still politically active within the Reform Party in the UK. 78 years old, living alone on the outskirts of Dartmoor, very beautiful but quite isolated place where she no doubt felt safe. And somebody, allegedly Joshua, I can't remember his surname. Oh God, what's his surname? Anyway, a guy, allegedly a communist sympathizer, only in his 20s, Joshua, lives miles away from Anne, at least a 4.5-hour drive. Got in his car that morning with a baseball bat and off he went but he actually ended up attacking her. I think it was with a hammer. Went all the way to Ann Widdicombe's home. She was sat in her kitchen eating her lunch, as you do. And he just walked in and attacked her in a blitz attack, and within 2 minutes, he'd gone, and he'd taken her wallet with him. I don't know if he used any of her cards or that, because he went home and got Joshua Kerry. That's it. Thank you, Lily. Kerry, yeah, Joshua Kerry. Anyway, he's been charged with murder, and the police are still deciding whether to bring in any terrorist charges. So far, he has not been charged with under the Terrorism Act, even though it is the terrorist police that are dealing with it. He's just been charged with murder. I say a total blitz attack. He apparently was in and out of Anne's house and murdered her within 2 minutes. So the whole attack was caught on her cameras, her home cameras. So he'd be struggling to plead not guilty, won't he? I mean, how's he going to plead not guilty when there's actual footage of him murdering poor Anne? And you know what? She was sat up at the table, and then he kicked, just pushed her body off onto the floor. What a twat. Just horrible, because, Ann Widdicombe, she was a divisive figure in some way, but most people had some respect for her, even me, and she's her political views and not my political views, but there were things that I did agree with her on. And, but at the end of the day, she was, how can I describe it? She was a conviction politician. She believed in what she said. She didn't say it. She didn't care what people thought of her. She didn't say it for effect. She didn't say it for popularity. Her beliefs were true beliefs, whether you agreed with them or not. And I think that's why I have a lot of respect for Anne, even though, as I say, her views probably would not be my views on most things. So anyway, an interesting development. Now, let me know what you think about this, because the terrorism police have released an update, and I'm reading directly from the counter-terrorism policing website, because we like to talk about facts on this channel, not making things up. And this is a statement that they put out on the 7th of August. That's yesterday, isn't it? And this is Vicky Evans, and she spells it like me as well, Vicki. My namesake, Vicky Evans, who is the Senior National Coordinator for Counter-Terrorism Policing, has put out this statement. As part of the ongoing investigation led by Counter-Terrorism Policing South East into the murder of Ann Widdicombe, officers have reopened an investigation into an incident reported to police last year. In April 2025, the Metropolitan Police received a report of an attempted burglary at an address in the Greater London area. Now, this address is thought to be Nigel Farage's address, just to let you know that. She doesn't mention Nigel Farage in this statement, so I want to make that clear. But I think it's generally accepted that this property belonged to Nigel Farage. Enquiries were carried out by the Metropolitan Police, supported by counter-terrorism police in London. No arrests were made, and the investigation was subsequently closed, pending any new lines of enquiry. Following the reopening of the attempted burglary investigation, counter-terrorism police in London identified a line of enquiry which was not identified and pursued by them at the time, which may have been relevant. It's interesting, isn't it? As a result, to ensure their support to the initial investigation is thoroughly reviewed, counter-terrorism police in London made a mandatory conduct referral to it's the good old Independent Office for Police Conduct, the IOPC. Yeah, they are always referring themselves to them, but nothing ever comes of anything, does it? So they've referred themselves to the IOPC. So blatantly, they've missed something, haven't they? And this, when this burglary took place, or attempted burglary, something's been missed somewhere along the line, because otherwise, why would they have referred themselves to the IOPC? Is this going to turn out that if they would have pursued that case better, would Anne still be alive? Is this to do with Joshua? Now, they made a statement, so it's got to have some relevance, haven't they? They've made a statement about it. So there must be some relevance to Anne's case. Otherwise, why even make a statement? Is this going to turn out, lessons learned? Are they going to end up saying that there was a line of inquiry they should have pursued that might have led them to Joshua Kerry? And then, is it possible that Anne may still be with us today? If he would have been arrested for that. I don't know. We don't know it. We can't know that because it didn't happen. So, but just interesting to think about. We will engage fully and comprehensively with the IOPC on this matter. The victims and families in both investigations have been updated today, and we continue to support them. And given the nature of this matter and the significant public interest into the investigation into Anne's death, it was of critical importance for us to provide this update. We would urge the public and the media to help us to secure justice for those affected, and be mindful when sharing speculation or information not provided by the police. So, yeah, I'm reading directly from their website, so they can't say that I'm not, giving that I'm indulging in speculation. This is what they said. And just looking, actually, while I'm on the counter-terrorism policing website, the current threat level is severe. Current threat level in the UK. So if you go on the counter-terrorism policing website, tells you what the current threat level is for a threat of some sort of terrorist attack, and it is severe. So be careful, wherever you go. Personally, you won't catch. I don't like crowded spaces anyway, but any big events like marches and things like that, you're probably better to keep away from them, really. Just a sec. Come on. Sorry, there's a dog changeover. So yeah, be careful if you're out at any events, like, the threat level, if you're in the UK, your threat level is severe. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know about that. And then, of course, they don't mention on there Nigel Farage. I'm pretty certain this is Nigel Farage's property, according to the BBC. So, supposedly the BBC is supposed to check. Was it the BBC that mentioned it? Yeah, Widdicombe Police, and please say Ann, not Widdicombe, reopened the investigation at Farage's home. An incident at Nigel Farage's South London home. It's supposed to relate to what the Reform UK leader described as a lit incendiary device. This is the BBC now saying this. A lit incendiary device being pushed through his letterbox in April 2025. Police said at the time that damage was caused to a door, but nothing was stolen. What do you think about that then? So, is this supposed to be related to Joshua then? An incendiary device pushed through his letterbox in April 2025. I don't remember that. Do you? Of course, Keir Starmer's property was attacked, wasn't it? That was supposed to be, they were supposed to be Russians, I think, that attacked him. So it's very dangerous being a politician these days because, as much as I don't like Nigel Farage, I'm definitely not in favour of people, putting bombs through his letterbox. I mean, don't do that. I mean, Nigel Farage, if people elect him, people are entitled to vote for who they want to vote for. That is our democratic society, isn't it? Much as I don't like him, and I think he spreads hate and division. But, it's up to people who they want to vote for. But it's quite dangerous, isn't it? So now we've had David Amos. He was stabbed at his constituency surgery, wasn't he, by an Islamist. Then there was Joe, a surname escapes me, maybe Lily will think of it. The Labour MP, she was killed by a far right-wing extremist. And then Anne, who, as far as we know so far, was killed by a communist sympathiser. But, we've got a long way to go before we find all the details about Anne's murder. But yeah, it's just, no wonder nobody wants to be a politician. So we end up with the dregs, really, don't we? Because decent people, they don't want to be politicians because it's dangerous. And it's sad about David Amos because, these are nice. Jo Cox, it was the lady, the female politician she was murdered in 2016. She was shot and stabbed. She was the MP for Batley and Spen. Dear me. Shot and stabbed. I mean, how awful. And then David Amos. So she was Labour politician. David Amos is a Tory politician, but he was one of the nice ones, the old school sort of, I don't know, like, Jo Cox, I Googled it as well. So you can't remember everybody's name, sadly. I remembered her first name, but her because I normally refer to, I suppose that's the problem about normally referring to people by first names, then their surname escapes you. Yeah, but how awful, shot and stabbed just for being a politician, really. And David Amos, he was at his constituency surgery, and he was stabbed to death by an Islamist. And now Wazan, brutally murdered by communists. I mean, for God's sake, why can't you just have political views and just accept other people's political views? Do you know what I mean? It's like, awful. So what we're going to get, who'd want to be a politician? I'll tell you who'd want to be a politician. All these snakes that you now have got in the UK government and everything. They're the only people who want to be politicians because they're snaky anyway. I'm finished with UK politics after the coup against Keir Starmer. I just think, oh my God, you've got another Prime Minister that you didn't vote for. Unbelievable. Not even the Labour Party members voted for Andy Burnham. Nobody voted for him. He just turfed up and took over, like stabbed Keir Starmer in the back, literally. I mean, this is a different sort of violence. Just, you don't do that. If you want to remove somebody, if you think they're not going to win the next election or whatever, you do it in a legitimate way. Andy Burnham had been planning that for ages. It's coming out now all the time how it was engineered. John Healey resigning as Defence Secretary, saying it was because the defence budget wasn't big enough. What a load of crap. It's because he'd been promised to be the Chancellor of the Exchequer if he conspired to bring Keir Starmer down. And then within 2 days of becoming PM, he's opened up Downing Street or number 10 North. That takes planning. He's planned it for months. It's horrible. I can't stand it. I can't stand him or any of the people that have conspired. That's not the way to do politics. Well, it is these days, it seems, So when politicians themselves are horrible like they are, how can, they're supposed to lead. How can you expect society to be decent? Because people just think, well, look at them, Anyway, I won't get on my soapbox about politics. So those are just catch-ups that I wanted to tell you about. I'm glad you were here with me, Lily. It's very quiet, isn't it? Nobody in chat. I suppose Saturday morning sometimes not a good morning, is it? Because people are out shopping and stuff. But, for me, sometimes that's the only time I can do my videos. I may be back later, but probably not. It's the heat. Heat just does for me. I know as the day goes on, I have my lunch, and then normally I'm like in a coma for the rest of the day. Just having lots of cold showers and trying to cool down. So we've got a low heat warning today. Brilliant. It's 29 degrees, but as I say, it is the humidity. It's the humidity. It's always the humidity that makes it worse. So we'll see how it goes today. But we have got a heat warning, so. God, we didn't have a heat warning yesterday and it was bad enough. So God knows what today's going to be like. Makes you feel actually ill. I always feel ill in summer. And then I think, I'm ill. Should go to the doctors. I feel terrible. And then when the weather cools down a bit, you feel like a different person. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for watching. I've never said my hellos to everybody like as in replay crew. Hello, replay crew. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and take care of yourselves. That's the most important thing. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you. Bye, Lily.